as it turns out, nothing spells America like a very open, in your face grift. I say this all the time. I don't want us ever to abandon our ability to be outraged.
Yeah.
And this story, Andy, of Donald Trump now openly accepting a $400 million luxury plane from Qatar, what they were referring to as a quote, palace in the sky for Donald Trump to use this 747 luxury plane as the new Air Force One coming from a foreign country that is one of the major funders of, wait for it, Hamas, a terrorist organization that MAGA and both Democrats have talked about being dangerous, being this terror organization. We know where the money comes from. Also, Qatar funds Al Jazeera television, right? The network, which the MAGA has said anybody that's associated with Al Jazeera, oh my God, terrorist alert. Somehow, though, Donald Trump goes on Truth Social and says that if he didn't accept this gift from Qatar, wouldn't he just be the biggest idiot? Right? That Democrats who don't accept gifts are quote unquote losers and don't understand what it means to do business. Andy, is it me or is this motherfucker just playing in our faces on a regular basis?
Look, Danielle, it would be flat out rude of him to turn
Mhm.
this down.
You're right.
I mean, someone offers you their help, or they offer you, if you go to somebody's house and they say, "Would you like a drink?" and you say, "Oh, no, I'm good." That's a little rude. You should accept a drink of water, something like that. So I appreciate that Trump is trying very hard not to be rude here. But look, this is as unconstitutional as it gets. This is as corrupt as it gets. Somebody called it, I can't remember who, comically corrupt.
Mm.
And I think that's like a really good term here,
Mhm.
because that's what this is like. This is a cartoon version of corruption, where it's just like it's so obvious and it's so blatant, and Republicans do not care. And these are the same Republicans who are constantly going after Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family
Yes.
for accepting money and stuff like that. This is so far beyond, I think, really anything that we've ever seen in the realm of corruption, of this nature, of accepting gifts, of accepting, uh, uh, call it what you want. I mean, call it a bribe. Like, maybe he hasn't done anything yet to make it an official bribe,
That's cute.
but it's a damn bribe. And the idea that this is just gonna happen is so wild, or at least would have been so wild, I don't know, 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Now I guess it's not that wild. Although I have to say, like, even for Trump, this is off the charts.
I mean, look, we have to remember, right? And remind folks that when Donald Trump got into office the first time, right? He simultaneously opened on Pennsylvania Avenue a luxury hotel that then, as people were coming into town to do quote unquote business with the first term of the Trump administration, guess where they were staying for exorbitant prices per night? Guess where Bill Barr's Department of Justice was hosting their holiday party, right? During Donald Trump's first administration. Guess where all of these people, he said that he had a breaking news. I'll never forget this. He had breaking news to share with the media, to share with America. The whole media shows up at the fucking hotel, which he gives a live tour of on television, like full on infomercial. Look at these rooms. Look at these curtains as he's the president of the United States, and the media just followed along with it. So why then, fast forward now 10 years in his second godforsaken term, are we shocked that Carter said, which, by the way, has more money than fucking God, says, this guy is cheap. All it's gonna take is, like, a luxury plane,
Yeah.
and we got America in our pockets. Because my other thing is, so we don't think that any spyware is gonna end up on this plane? We don't think that this palace in the sky, which is essentially the White House in the sky, the Situation Room in the sky, where incredibly sensitive classified information is shared on a regular basis, that we don't think that the people putting together this luxury plane and the software and all the engineering that goes in, we think that that's gonna be safe? We think it's fine. Republicans think it's good to go because Pam Bondi signed off on it. Pam Bondi, by the way, was also, what was her last job? Consultant to Qatar at
Right.
$100,000 a month. $100,000 a month, Andy. What did we do wrong in our lives, you think?
I've been thinking a lot about karma lately, and I have decided that past life Andy was not a good person. Yeah, you are absolutely correct to bring up the security issues. I mean, has nobody read Virgil's The Aeneid and the whole Trojan horse thing? It's kind of a
Classic.
common, like, we know what a Trojan horse is. We've got computer hacks named after it and everything. And yeah, the idea that you're going to accept this palace in the sky from a foreign government, I mean, obviously, we'll sweep it for bugs and whatever, but still, it's like it is from a security standpoint, it's an absolute nightmare. But look, on the other hand, given the various signal chats and whatever, we're kind of getting the sense that security is not really a big deal for this administration.
No, no.
But I do want to go back to the point that this is illegal and unconstitutional. I mean, there's a thing in the Constitution called the Foreign Emoluments Clause, and emoluments, which is generally one of my favorite words. Uh, it basically is like a fancy word for remuneration, which is a fancy word for getting something for what you do.
Yes.
Uh, so there's an entire clause about this, wrapped up with, also you can't accept like a title of nobility. But you cannot accept gifts from foreign powers. Like this was set up in the original Constitution. This isn't even an amendment. It's right there in it. And how anybody thinks this is okay constitutionally is beyond me. And look, I do have to say, thankfully, there's at least a small group right now of Democratic senators who have come out and said that, quote, "The Constitution is clear. Elected officials like the president cannot accept large gifts from foreign governments without consent from Congress." And this is Brian Schatz from Hawaii, Chris Coons from Delaware, Cory Booker from New Jersey, and Chris Murphy of Connecticut. They put out a joint statement, and they are all on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and they are, according to the New York Times, they are planning to introduce a resolution condemning the arrangement. So at least they're doing something. On the other hand, uh, it's not like Trump hasn't shown that he doesn't care what Congress says. It also, Congress is, as we've discussed ad nauseum, both houses of Congress are controlled by Republicans. Republicans are completely enthralled to Donald Trump. So the idea that Congress ultimately will stop this from happening, it seems like it ain't going to happen. But I do think it's, Democrats have got to speak up. They have got to be strong on this and say, look, this is dangerous. This is unconstitutional. And we can't just sit by and shrug our shoulders and say, we got other things to worry about. So I'm glad they're at least doing something.
Yeah, and, at least on the upside, right, like, the luxury palace in the sky, the plane that Qatar is giving to Donald Trump, like, at least that is gonna be, stay in the hands of the US government, like, following his Oh, that's right, it's not. It's not. That's right. It's actually going to then be gifted to Donald Trump's public library, the presidential library, which we know will be empty because that motherfucker doesn't read. Like, what's in there? like the napkins that he was swallowing in meetings, like regurgitated what is in there? Burnt up pieces of files that Mark Meadows was burning on January 6th. What's in the presidential library of Trump? Right?
I think
Like,
isn't it basically it was like the bathroom at Mar-a-Lago?
correct. Right? So it'll be filled with tacky chandeliers, gold toilets, and, all of the gifts. It'll be basically like a pirate ship. That is what will be in the Trump library. It will be like a pirate ship with all of the loot that he stole, that he was gifted from around the world. I just want to remind folks, Jared Kushner walked out of the first administration with $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. $2 billion. Donald Trump says it's a gift, right? Like, it's free of charge what he's getting from Qatar. Understand? Ain't nothing ever free.
Yep.
Nothing. Everything comes with a price. And Donald Trump says he doesn't care.